Okay, now I'm starting to see numbers come up. I am going to wait a minute or two and hopefully lots and lots of people will join and then we'll get started. Oh, and let me go to the comments. I will probably say this several times toward the beginning of the video, but I'm going to ask you to please hold your questions for now. I'm going to talk just about some general stuff for a couple of minutes, so please hold your questions until I'm done. But hopefully we'll have fewer questions than Monday. Monday was it was a bit, wasn't it? I think you'll find I have a very different personality from Dr. Westman. He and I agree on almost everything, not everything, but almost everything, but our styles of conveying information are very different. So, all right, let's see. I'll give people another minute or so to come in, but we've got people from all over. Nebraska, South Carolina, Texas, Florida, Canada, hello, New York, Illinois, Virginia. Man, all these places that I've lived. You know, I was born and raised in New York. I went to college in Pennsylvania, and I was stationed in Nebraska when I was in the Air Force, and I was stationed for a short time also in California. And everybody goes to Texas when they're in the Air Force. All basic training is in San Antonio. So yeah, all these in Virginia. I lived in the DC area for like 8 years. I now live in North Carolina. I'm actually like right down the road from Dr. Westman, but yeah, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. My whole family's in New Jersey. What exit? Ha ha ha. Exit 8A, if you must know. Okay, 135 people watching. I will just wait another couple of seconds because I know we have like I forget how many in our masterclass. 700 or 800, big turnout this time. I don't expect everybody to tune in live, but hopefully we'll get a few more and then I'll get started. Denmark, somebody's watching from Denmark. That's awesome. So just to let you know, whoever's in Denmark, some of you, I can see your name and some of it just comes up as Facebook user. Dr. Westman and I are going to be speaking at an event in October in the Netherlands. So if you are able to travel to the Netherlands in October, you can come see Dr. Westman and I speak. It's the Ancestral Health Symposium of the Netherlands. So if you just want to search for that online. All right, I'm just going to get into things. I'm going to start with a brief introduction of myself because I think many of you in our masterclass know who I am, but if you don't, it's like, who's this gal just like talking about keto? Like, who is she? So I guess one of the most important things for you to know about me is that I co-wrote the book End Your Carb Confusion with Dr. Westman. So if that is a credential in your eyes that I, co-wrote a book with Dr. Westman, there's that. But I also am an author in my own right. I wrote a book about Alzheimer's disease, and I wrote a book that is specifically about breaking fat loss stalls on ketogenic diets, which many of you don't need because you're going to break your fat loss stall over the next 3 weeks. I can almost guarantee it. Let's see, I have a master's degree in nutrition. I am a CNS, which stands for Certified Nutrition Specialist. It is not the same as a registered dietitian, so I'm not an RD, but it is a master's level certification. You have to have a master's to sit for the exam. And kind of like an RD, you have to get a supervised hours of practice and all that stuff. What else? I do see private clients, and I do a lot of freelance writing in health and nutrition about keto. So you may see my byline here and there on various websites and stuff like that. I guess that's kind of all you need to know for starting now. And of course, I helped to create the Keto Made Simple Masterclass. We are hard at work on some additional courses that we have coming up that we're working on right now. So I'm contributing to all that. And you've seen me in the Facebook group like crazy. So, okay. I mentioned, for those of you that happen to have a chance to see it earlier today, that I would say a few words about weight today. I posted a link to a blog post that I wrote. I'm kind of infamous. I would like to say famous, but it's more like infamous. I'm famous slash notorious for very, very long blog posts. But this one I think is worth the several minutes out of your day it will take to read. It was about why your scale weight can be so misleading. So first of all, I want to acknowledge that not everyone is even here for weight loss at all. You might be perfectly happy with your weight, and maybe you just are here to learn more about keto, or you're happy with your weight, but maybe you have type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure or some other thing that you want to be free of, if possible. So I know that not everyone's here for weight loss, but, most of you are to some extent. That's one of many goals you might have. So with that in mind, I cannot stress this enough to you. We have a separate course based on my book called The Stall Slayer about breaking those fat loss stalls. I have an entire module, not just one lesson, entire like 3-lesson module about the problems with fixating on your scale weight. So just real quick, all the details are in that post, but I'll just tell you the most important points you really need to understand are that, number one, your size and shape can change even if that scale weight is not moving. I know it sounds weird, and it's like, well, how is that even possible? How could you be getting smaller and your weight isn't changing? I don't know. The person who figures that out, the truth is, it's your body composition is shifting, water is moving around, you could be building muscle. Even if you're not actively lifting weights, your body composition can still shift. You could be rebuilding bone mass. Now that we're not afraid of protein anymore, and we're not skimping and eating these itty tiny portions of protein, you could be rebuilding bone mass that you've lost over the years. So it is very, very possible to lose a size, to go down a pant size or a dress size with no change in your weight, or maybe a very, very small change, less of a change than you would expect in order to lose that much size. So do not fixate solely on the scale. Take your measurements, maybe once every 2 weeks, once a month. I wouldn't measure every week, is kind of a lot. I wouldn't expect to change that much from week to week. Another very, very critical point is that your weight fluctuates from day to day, and that is 100% normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not doing anything wrong. You have to be prepared for this. You have to expect it. So to the people that just came onto the video, if you could please hold your questions for now while I'm just getting through all this. Otherwise, it's going to be crazy. So kind of sit tight, hold your questions. I do see them coming in. But so from day to day, your weight will fluctuate anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds. And what you have to understand is that that is not reflective of body fat. Your weight, the number you see on the scale, is not your body fat. That is your total weight. So what is that? It's the amount of water. The human body is like 65% water. It might even be more. I never remember the right statistic, but it's like over 60% water. It's muscle, it's bone, it's organs, it's tendons and ligaments, and your body fat. So when you see that one number on the scale, you have no idea how much of that is fat. So when it goes up or down 1 or 2 pounds from day to day, do not freak out. Do not forget, because it's just, you're going to make yourself crazy if you do not understand that. Dr. Stephen Phinney and Dr. Jeff Volek, who I'm sure some of you are familiar with those names, they're world-renowned keto researchers. They have a quote in one of their books: "Don't trust the bathroom scale with your mental health." Amen, brothers. I can't really call them brothers. They're not, we're not buds, like they're, PhD, MD. Anyway, don't trust the bathroom scale with your mental health. Now, the other critical point for you to understand is if you are in the weight loss process, if your goal is to lose some weight, or rather lose body fat, because we don't really care about the weight, we care about the fat. What you want, your ideal dream fairyland fairy tale situation, is for you to be at your starting weight, and it's just going to be this straight, uninterrupted, beautiful, unbroken line downward till you magically get to that goal weight. You're going to lose a pound or two every day, every week, every month, and boom, magic goal weight. That's the ideal scenario that just about never happens. It's going to happen once in a while. It's probably not going to happen to most of us. What's going to happen to most of us is what Dr. Westman calls the stair-step pattern. I call it a squiggle. It's, here's your starting weight. You're going to lose a little weight. You're going to stay the same for a bit, lose a little more, stay the same, gain a bit, stay the same, lose. It's going to be a squiggly line with some bumps and valleys and rises. But what you want to do is look at the long-term trend over time, right? If you're looking at a weight loss graph, you're not going to see that straight line downward. You're going to see a squiggle, but as long as that squiggle is heading downward over time, that's what you want. And because there are those periods of being up a little bit and steady, up, steady, down, if you get on the scale every single day, you can see that is going to really, really play head games with you, and not the kind of head games we like. I told you I had a different style than Dr. Westman. So I see somebody putting a comment, don't weigh more than once a week. I recommend, if you want to weigh yourself once a week or once every 2 weeks. Always do it first thing in the morning, naked, after you have voided your bladder or your bowels or whatever you need to void, then get on the scale. But there are people who really like to weigh every day. Some people feel that it keeps them on the straight and narrow. It keeps them from straying too far. If you are somebody that likes to weigh yourself every day, that's fine. You're a grown adult. You're allowed to do whatever you want to do. Weigh yourself, but please, for the sake of your mental health and mine, remember what I said earlier about the fact that it's normal for it to fluctuate a little. Finney and Volek say as much as 2 to 4 pounds. We live in a gray zone, a gray area zone of that fluctuation. So if you're going to weigh yourself every day, you have to remember that you're in the gray zone. And what you have to try to do, and this is somebody saying easier said than done. Here is the part that's easier said than done. If you weigh yourself daily, or even if you do it weekly, you just have to look at it as a number. It's a number on an inanimate object. That number has no bearing on your worth or value as a human being. Can we just all agree on that right now? Whatever number you see there, whether it's higher than it was the day before or lower than the day before, or it's been the same for 3 weeks, that has nothing to do with your self-worth or how you should feel about yourself. This is but for most women, some men, mostly women, that number can do so much emotional damage. And that's not an exaggeration. Like, I'm not trying to be, hyperbolic here. It can be emotionally catastrophic. And if you are in that category, I very, very strongly suggest that you simply stop weighing yourself for a while. I recommended to somebody earlier in the group today, give your scale away. Don't even keep it in the house. Give it to a friend or give it to a relative to keep for you for 3 months or 6 months, and make a promise with them that they are not allowed to give it back to you until 3 months or 6 or whatever time period you agree. Get the scale out of your house. If it's not doing anything positive for you, if all it is doing is making you frustrated and disappointed and angry and worried and scared and feeling like a failure and hating yourself, I don't really know why you would want to keep an object like that in your home. If there was a human being that was treating you like that, wouldn't you cut them off? Wouldn't you cut them out of your life and say goodbye? You're allowed to do that with your scale, because you're not going to hurt its feelings. It's a scale. You can put it in the garage, give it to a friend. Okay. I've said my piece. I'll get to the questions now, but please, there's a reason that I'm being so emphatic, and there's a reason I started my first video talking about this. It is critical, because I know that even though I've said all this, for the next 3 weeks, we're still going to see, I did, and I gained a pound, I did, but just don't go there. And then, okay, the other thing, I lied. I do have one more thing to say. And thank you to those of you who I have seen commenting about what we call those non-scale victories, the NSVs. Even when your scale weight isn't moving at all, there's so many other things that could be happening that will hopefully keep you motivated and make you feel good and be very clear proof to you and evidence to you that this way of eating is working. So I'll post another link to an article I wrote. I left it in the comments of the post that I wrote about scale weight, but if you missed it, I'll just make a separate post. It was 14 ways to tell if keto was working for you besides weight loss. 14, and I'll ruin the surprise. There was a PS with a 15th thing, a little surprise. 15 ways that can tell you keto is working and doing something good for you, even if your weight isn't moving. You know, off the top of my head, better blood sugar, better blood pressure, less, fewer headaches or migraines, better skin, less severe PMS. You men out there, slightly better sexual function, if you know what I mean. No more acid reflux. That's the one Dr. Westman's always going on about that surprises people. No more heartburn. Joint pain tends to go away pretty quickly. All of this stuff, none of which has anything to do with losing weight. Okay, let me scroll back up now through the questions. So we have so many people here, and I have to remember that I talk very quickly. Dr. Westman is very mellow and very because he's from Wisconsin, but he's lived down in the South now for like 30 years. I've only lived here for 2 years, so I still have my New York, let's go kind of pace. I will try to speak more slowly. So people have asked when we are doing the next round of that course based on the Stall Slayer book. I am not sure. We weren't going to do it until the fall, but we've had some interest, so we will probably do it sooner. I'm just not sure when. We will definitely announce it in the group when we decide, though, so you will be one of the first to know. Judy is asking, anything on emotional binging, getting control over the binge moment? Well, where do I start? There's so much I could say. Let's just say that all of this is such a huge issue that we are creating a course, and the course is really about sugar addiction, but I'm sure it's going to include things about binge eating and emotional eating and all that. So the first thing to know is that, so this is Judy asking this question. Judy, you are not alone. You know who else is an emotional eater? You know who else is an emotional eater? Every single person watching this broadcast right now. Every single one of them. Do you know why? Everybody's an emotional eater. Some people just manage it better than the rest of us. And that, I stand by that statement. So if you thought you were the only one, sorry, you're not that special. As our friend Rob Wolf says, you're not a unique snowflake. No, I'm not trying to joke. I'm trying to make you feel better in that you are most definitely not the only one with this issue. Couple of things to say about this, and because I could spend a whole hour on this one question, and I don't want to do that. Number one, if you here's what Dr. Westman would say, and I know because I've heard him say it. If you have to emotionally eat, can you at least not emotionally eat carbs? Like if you have to binge, can you binge on pork rinds? Can you binge on salami or pepperoni? You know, even if like stick to our list, even if it means you're going over the total quantity for the day. And I'm not encouraging that, but if you are in a moment and there's that drive, there's that compulsion, I have to eat, try to at least stick to the list, even if it means you're eating more than those 4 ounces of cheese, even if it means you've had more heavy cream or more whatever, that's first. The second, for many people, not all, but many people, a lot of those tendencies go away when they do keto. And I know I can hear it right now in the virtual, I can hear it coming through the internet. You're like, I've been doing keto for 6 months and I still have this problem. But you haven't done keto Dr. Westman's way. And, we all know that food list is strict. None of us have said it's easy. We said it works. It is effective, but it's not easy. But when you keep the carbs that low, 20 total grams, and you're not messing around with the almond flour cookies and the coconut flour brownies and the, whatever, the cravings actually tend to go away, or they get much, much less. Your appetite tends to decrease. Like all of this stuff there, it happens. Maybe not 100% for everybody, but I'd be surprised if those tendencies didn't start to get better. They might not go away, but if you really stay strict to that list, you will probably find those tendencies a bit easier to manage. So that's the abbreviated answer to that, because I could fill up the whole rest of the hour. Donna's talking about ketones, and she says, I know that ketosis is not the important thing and we don't have to measure, but she's checking out of habit. She has a breath meter. She said she's in the red zone. Do I need to worry about this? I am not that familiar with the breath meters. I have one. I have never used it. I don't know that red means danger. I think the red on the breath meters just means high. You don't need to worry about it unless you feel unwell. If you feel fine physically, and like you don't feel lightheaded, you don't feel dizzy or nauseated, if you feel fine, you're okay. But yeah, a lot of people talking about that scale. The scale is not my friend, driving me crazy. Yeah, somebody has commented, no scale loss, but clothes are fitting much better. This happens. Like this, it's a phenomenon, and sometimes, so that's one thing where your shape and size can change even when the scale isn't moving. And the other thing is, some of you will experience this. So if you've never heard of this, pay attention. Have you ever heard of the whoosh effect? If you've been around, I've been eating low carb for 15 years, maybe more. Long time ago, this was all the rage on the old school low carb message boards. They called it the whoosh, where you're doing everything right. You're sticking to the list, and you're working so hard and you're so strict, and why isn't the weight moving? And then one day, whoosh, 4 pounds, 5 pounds gone. Sometimes it happens that way. Some people will lose a pound every week or a pound or two. You'll stay maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then out of nowhere, a 4 or 5 pound drop. That's the whoosh. So that just happens. Tamala says she's psycho with the scale, 3 exclamation points. I hate it, all caps, 2 exclamation points. You know what that tells me, Tamala or Tamala, I'm sorry, I might be pronouncing your name incorrectly. Get rid of the scale. Give it to a friend. Better yet, give it to an enemy. Tell them to weigh themselves every day. You don't need that aggravation. We, as grown adults, we are in charge of our actions mostly. I mean, if you have children, there are some actions you have to perform that you maybe like wish you didn't have to get out of bed at 5 a.m. and take care of whatever. But if you're getting on the scale every day, you're choosing to do that unless somebody has you at gunpoint and they're forcing you to get on the scale. So you're doing it. You can choose to not do it. And if it's only a negative experience for you, which it sounds like it is, stop doing it. It's much easier to stop getting on the scale than it is to change the food. Like, it's like some people are addicted to the scale, but even so, I think that's still an easier behavior to change than a lot of the other behaviors we have. Frankly, I would say just get it out of your house. Get rid of it. Let's see, going on and on. Some people check ketones. But again, I don't want to insult anyone who enjoys weighing every day. You can weigh yourself every day. Just don't let that stupid number control your life. Don't let it control your emotions. Don't let it control your self-esteem. Tyran has a good question. Again, if I'm pronouncing anybody's name incorrectly, my apologies. Tyran says, I don't want to weigh. I feel like a failure, but I know it's important for accountability. I would say no, it's not. Well, can you find some other way to hold yourself accountable? Can your accountability be, did I stick to the list today? How's that for accountability? Did I have more than 4 ounces of cheese today? Or if you don't eat cheese, that's not going to work for you. But did I stick to the list? Did I do my best today? Was I out to lunch with friends and I made a really good choice that I wouldn't have made last week? That's accountability is not solely weight. You know, totally fine to have some other way. Let's see. Dar says, been stalled for 2 years. I need to see that scale move. So yeah, if you've been stalled for 2 years, but one of the things that I ask in my Stall Slayer course is, are you really stalled? So, you know, Dar, it depends on how much weight you're looking to lose. If you are, 50 or 100 pounds heavier than you'd like to be, that's one thing, versus, maybe if you're talking, you've been stalled, but you're talking about the last 2 or 3 or 4 pounds, that's an entirely different scenario. So when someone says I'm stalled, well, what does that mean? And when people talk about a stall, now you said it's been 2 years. So that's a long time but thank you for this question, because I don't like for people to use the word stall when it's been 2 or 3 weeks. 2 years, yeah, you can say you're stalled. If it's been 2 weeks and you haven't lost any weight, that's not a stall. Remember I said that's an easy, our friend Casey calls it a hover. I'm hovering, because it just sounds so much more positive and pleasant than a stall or a plateau. I'm hovering, just hovering here for a bit. I'm just taking my time here at this weight, no big deal. Yeah, so if it's been 2 years, you do need to see the scale move, but I would be surprised, assuming you have a significant amount of fat to lose, I would be surprised if the scale doesn't start moving very soon if you stick to that 20 total grams per day or fewer. Yeah, Marianne, my heart breaks because this is so common with women. Marianne says, I grew up with my mom and aunts always trying to be thin. I was chunky by the time I was in high school. I'm 58 and they are still doing this in their 70s. I mean, think about it. I'm 42. The thought of, I've already spent my entire life being obsessed with my size and my shape and my clothing and my fat rolls and my stretch marks. The thought of doing that for another 40 or 50, God willing, years, it makes me tired just thinking about trying to be obsessed with my scale weight for another 5 decades. We got to let that go. Terrible with the scale. Sorry, I'm just going through. I just lost my place and I'm trying to scroll through, but it skipped a whole bunch. Okay, yeah, people are talking about some non-scale victories. Great. Yeah, mental clarity, joint pain relief. A Facebook user says, I weigh every morning, drives me nuts. Well, stop. You're driving yourself nuts. It drives me nuts. No, you're driving yourself nuts. And we are allowed to stop driving ourselves nuts. I give you permission to no longer do that to yourself. Somebody is saying their friend has calcified coronary blood vessels. Should he stop keto? So, of course, I am not a doctor, so nothing I say is medical advice, but no, I would say keto is actually excellent for cardiovascular health, and numerous studies are showing this now. And we know saturated fat does not clog the arteries. Eating dietary cholesterol like egg yolks and butter, that also does not clog the arteries. That is way debunked nonsense. Most likely, so arterial calcification takes years and years to develop. So most likely those arteries got calcified while that person was eating the diet they were on for most of the rest of their life, not after they started keto. What else is here? I don't know. I don't know this person's name because it says Facebook user. It says, I'm going to steal this from you, by the way. If the day is going to hell, don't put on gasoline underwear with carbs. Yeah. If you're having a bad day and you need to eat, you're reaching for food, for comfort, or for something, don't reach for carbs. Because I can tell you this from personal experience. If you are quote unquote overeating on low carb foods, no, you will not lose weight. It is not going to help you get to your weight loss goal, but metabolically speaking, in terms of your blood sugar, your insulin, all that other stuff, you are going to be better off compared to having a box of donuts or a whole sleeve of cookies kind of thing. You are better off consuming an excess amount of something like pork rinds or cheese or roast beef or stuff like that. Don't put on the gasoline underwear. That's awesome. Okay. KT is asking, can artificial sweeteners be triggers for some people? So you phrased that question very well. For some people, yeah, anything can trigger some people. I've used artificial sweeteners for 25 years. Like I've been using Sweet and Low in my coffee since I was in high school, and drinking diet soda since then. I'm still here, so it hasn't killed me yet. But for me, I can have a sweetener in my coffee and go about my day. It causes me no cravings, no, urges to have more and more sweet. If you are somebody that even that sweet taste does trigger the desire for more and more, then that would be triggering. So there are some people who do need to avoid that stuff, but there's many people who don't. I mean, there's so many thousands of people that eat low carb and keto who use Sweet and Low. We use Splenda, or Sweet and Low is saccharin. We use sucralose. Aspartame is very controversial, but many people use it and they have no problem with it. If you prefer stevia, that's fine. Monk fruit, we get a lot of questions. Whatever works for you, just be careful with the sugar alcohols that have more carbs. Ooh, Charlotte has a good question about she didn't use this phrase, but the occasional cheat meal. I'll post either tonight or tomorrow, I'll post some links. I mean, I've been blogging since 2013, so I've like probably written an article about just about any topic that you could think of. And I have a much shorter post than these other ones about what happens when you stray from the plan. And so Charlotte says, if we have that piece of birthday cake or that Christmas dessert, family dinner, etc., once in a while, will this significantly derail both weight loss and or blood results? You used the magic phrase, once in a while. So if you are somebody where having that one piece of cake or the one serving of hash browns is going to trigger a migraine or trigger a seizure, like if you're doing medical keto for some other reason, don't do that. Like stick strictly to what you need to eat. If you are in this mostly for weight loss, and I would say, frankly, even for something like type 2 diabetes or PCOS or, all that other stuff, having this stuff once in a while is not going to be that big a deal. But there's so many buts to this. Let me try to get through them. If you're new to this now, please stay as strict as you can for as long as you can, because the more you stray, the longer it's going to take you to actually really make this your life and not just this thing you're doing for 30 days or 45 days or whatever. The more often you go off the plan, the less likely it is the plan is going to work. So give yourself the best possible chance for success, and that, learn how to follow the rules, and then you can break them. And then the other thing is, you have to know yourself. So that other question of like, can artificial sweeteners trigger people? Some people, yes, some people, no. Many people can do keto, low carb, 99% of the time, but then on Christmas they have the thing. And then, at Thanksgiving they have the pumpkin pie. On their birthday they have the one special thing. These people can have the one thing, the one meal, and get right back to normal. It's not even a bare blip on the radar, no big deal. If you are somebody who is going to have one slice of pumpkin pie and then it's going to snowball into a 3-month bender and you've regained 40 pounds, then it's not safe for you. So it's kind of an individual thing. Now, remember, I am not a keto zealot by any means. Having a piece of cake every 3 months is not what led any of us to become overweight or have diabetes or non-alcoholic fatty liver. Having the occasional piece of whatever. The problem is that most of us have been eating this stuff all day, every day for our entire lives. So that's kind of the very long answer to your question. You can have these things occasionally, but if you are brand new to this way of eating, I really do recommend that you stay strict. And what was I going to say? Oh, to borrow one of my favorite phrases that Dr. Westman says, and he even tells us to his patients, look, Christmas is coming up, or it's your anniversary. It's a holiday. Enjoy, go eat, do what you want. Don't let a holiday turn into a holo-week or a holo-month. So I hope that should make sense, right? Cravings are much better. Patricia says she just started eating from our food list 2 days ago. She had sugar-free Jell-O and the glucose went up to 114. I'm usually around 90 to 100. Do I need it to work? Honestly, between 100 and 114, I really wouldn't worry that much. That's not, if you had said it went from 100 to like 150, maybe there's something in there. But for a 14-point rise, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Kelly says, will diet soda or Jell-O stall weight loss? For most people, see, I'm going to hedge and say for most people, no. Dr. Westman would probably just say no, period. Like no, it's not going to. I don't think it would. So let me backtrack. If somebody is in that hover, not the stall, if somebody is having a hard time losing weight, diet soda and sugar-free Jell-O are not the first places I would look. Like, they're not the most common culprits I'm going to look for when somebody's telling me they're not losing weight. So I'll put it that way. Is it in the realm of possibility? Maybe, but it would be pretty low on my list of things to look for. Catherine is asking when the best time is to take readings with Keto Mojo. I'm going to give you my joke answer first, and then I'll give you my real answer. My joke answer is never put the meter away and stop testing, because you might be making yourself crazy. My real answer is it varies. Some people find their highest level in the morning. Some people find their highest level in the evening. But it really doesn't matter when your highest level is. For measuring ketones with a blood meter or a breath meter or the urine strips, for me, my perspective on it is the best reason to measure is just as a yes or no. Am I in ketosis or not? The level, I don't care. Because here's the thing you need to know, Catherine, and everybody. If, hopefully this isn't the first time someone's ever told you this, but just in case, higher ketones do not cause weight loss to happen more quickly. Having higher ketones doesn't cause faster or more weight loss. So there's no reason to oh, it's only 0.4. Oh, if I was at 2.0, I'd lose more weight. No. Ketones result from breaking down fat. They don't cause you to break down fat. So if you want to keep testing, you can keep testing, but I really can't. It seems to be an individual thing as to when the best time is to test. And because those test strips are so expensive, if you're only testing one time a day, please understand that your ketone level fluctuates a lot throughout the day. It's definitely not a steady thing. So I would just, if you want to check, just check to see if it registers ketones at all. Like, am I in or am I out? Somebody is asking how you get rid of the bad taste. I'm assuming they mean the keto breath. So this is why we have ketone breath meters. When you are in ketosis, you will expel ketones through your breath. And some people, they either don't expel the ketones through their breath, or if they do, it's very, very mild because you don't have the keto breath. And there's other people, I kid you not, if they're talking, you can smell them across the room. So you make sure you're hydrated, drink water. You are permitted to use sugar-free gum and sugar-free mints. I think they're not officially on our food list, but if you know that you've got some stanky breath and you're around other humans, pop a sugar-free mint for their sake. Some of those do have carbs. That's really what Dr. Westwood would call a carblet, a quarter of a gram of carb for a mint. Yeah, I wouldn't even count them at all unless you're having 10 pieces a day. Maybe then count half a carb per mint, but unless you're popping these things like they're, whatever. But you can use sugar-free mints, or just, use mouthwash more often, keep a small bottle of it in your briefcase or purse or something. But that's what that is. Okay. Paul is asking about leg cramps. So many of these questions are answered in Dr. Westman's video lessons. So if you haven't watched all of the videos yet, try to do that as soon as you can. The whole course is only 3 hours, so you could binge watch it, any evening. But the leg cramps, 2 things usually take care of that: more salt. And so it doesn't have to be fancy schmancy, pink, gray, Celtic, Himalayan. Any salt is good. What your body needs is the sodium. And then you might also need extra magnesium. Dr. Westman likes the milk of magnesia. I think he says a teaspoon at night. I don't love milk of magnesia just because I think it tastes gross. I just supplement with magnesium, about 300 or 400 milligrams a day. And any magnesium is good. You can look for a magnesium glycinate or a magnesium malate. Magnesium is pretty inexpensive. It's not one of those supplements that I think you need to go to a specialty store for. You could probably get a decent magnesium at a Walgreens or a CVS or Costco if you go there. So that's, yeah, leg cramps, sodium, and magnesium. Ooh, Stacy has kind of a good question. Well, they're all good questions. She just started, or he, sorry, it's a male Stacy, I think, from the picture. No, I can't tell. I'm so sorry. There are men named Stacy. Like I know men named Stacy. Anyway, whoever you are, Stacy, Stacy just started and is wondering when they will expect to feel less hungry. Sometimes it can take a few days to kick in. So if you just started, just like yesterday or today or 2 days ago, give it a few more days, and make sure you're really, really strict. And I don't want to scare you, but I think there are some people where it's not super, super magical. Like, you're going to be hungry. It's not that you're going to go 6 days without eating. Like, I know fasting is all the rage, but you're going to get hungry, but you'll get hungry less frequently. And when you do feel hungry, here's what changes on keto. You feel hungry, you don't feel hangry. That combination of hungry and angry, where you're going to kill somebody if you don't eat in 4 seconds, like you'll eat your own hand. That's what goes away on keto. You'll be hungry, but it's like, oh, I'm kind of hungry, but I could wait. Like, oh, dinner's not for another hour. I could wait. No big deal. So day 3, pork rinds. Oh, I probably already answered Susan's question, but I'll do it anyway. Susan's asking my opinion on drinking diet soda. I think it's fine. I drink less of it now than I used to, but not because I'm afraid of it. I just kind of lost my taste for it, but I think it's fine. And I do not fearmonger at all about aspartame. Some people do seem to get headaches or migraines from aspartame. If you react to aspartame, find another soda. There are sodas now that have stevia in them. There's a brand called Zevia that is very good. There's even some carbonated drinks that have sucralose, like Splenda, I think. So yeah, diet soda should be fine. Though there's one or two that I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I'm gonna tell you Dr. Westman's secret. There's one that I don't know if I trust, but Dr. Westman drinks. Now, he doesn't drink it every day. This is not like a staple of his diet, but every once in a while he has Diet Mountain Dew or Diet Sundrop. And it says 0 carb or like 1 gram of carb. The reason I don't trust it is because concentrated orange juice is like one of the first ingredients. And I'm just not sure how they make that 0 carb. But Dr. Westman is not diabetic. He doesn't have obesity. So clearly, like, it's not really that big a problem. But I don't trust it. Maybe to have it once in a while. If you love Mountain Dew and you switch to Diet Mountain Dew, maybe just don't drink it every day. I just don't trust that label. Patty had a whoosh today. See, it happens. It's a real thing. Oh, thank you. Someone is just complimenting my delivery. Thank you very much. Divorce the scale. I love that word. Divorce. Yes. Get a divorce from your scale. Nice. Yeah, Dar, if you've been stalled for 2 years, feel free to send me a direct message, because maybe there's something else going on, unless if after watching our videos, Dr. Westman's videos, like the lessons, and looking at our food list, if some light bulbs went off, like, oh, I see what I've been doing wrong, then give this a couple of weeks and you will probably be amazed at what will happen. Because I'd be surprised if you're this strict if nothing happens. But if nothing happens, in my Salt Slayer course, I have an entire lesson on thyroid, which is a huge issue, and it's a huge impediment to fat loss if your thyroid hormones are not, where they need to be. So I would imagine that things will get going for you. Someone liked when I said give the scale to an enemy. See, that's how far behind I am in the comments here. Oh, someone is asking, so the way they spelled it, I'm guessing you mean vitiligo. Have I seen vitiligo improve on and I think that's how you pronounce it, on a keto way of eating? I have not personally witnessed this, but I've heard accounts of it. I've heard one or two people say that that did get better. Dr. Westman might have more experience with that just because he sees a bigger breadth of population than I do. But vitiligo, I think, is believed to be autoimmune in nature. And if it is, I can't promise anything, but I'd be surprised if it didn't get a little better. But because that's a skin thing, I wouldn't expect you to see a difference in that overnight. Like, I would think that would take a few months maybe, but I could be wrong. Roxanne has a question about fasting. Used to do quite a lot of fasting, a 19 or 20 hour fast, 5 days a week, didn't lose much weight. And she's asking if has her metabolism slowed down so much from the fasting that she needs to keep fasting now, or will adapt? Will this program work? I can't say for sure. I think my recommendation is to stop fasting quite so much and just follow our plan. Eat when you're hungry. If you're only hungry for one meal a day, just have the one meal. But if you've been forcing yourself to go that many hours, don't do that anymore. I would at least start out just eating what you want, when you want, as long as you stick to that list. Oh, somebody's like, oh, Diane is off blood pressure medication after 4 months. That's awesome. Let's see, impatience. Oh, Lee is asking, used to get subcutaneous B vitamin injections from a different doctor-led program. Do they really work to burn fat? So the B vitamins are used in the biochemical process that converts food to energy, be that fat or carbohydrate. You just need, like, the reason we have to get vitamins and minerals is because they are, like, literally required for all the chemical reactions that happen in us. And some of the B vitamins are needed to convert food into energy. And if you have a lot of B vitamins, and theoretically they're just upregulating all that and you're just burning fat and any advantage they're going to give you is very, very, very slight. Your diet should be doing the heavy lifting. Your diet should be taking care of like 99% of, maybe not 99, maybe 89% of where you want to go. Like if you were to take B vitamin injections and change nothing about your diet, I would not expect miraculous weight loss. Let's put it that way. Is it going to hurt you? No. Is it going to help a ton on top of how effective 20 grams of total carbs a day is all by itself? Probably not. Oh, somebody has a good question. I can only speculate. You're coming up as Facebook user because some people's names show up and some don't. So you all know Dr. Westman is affiliated with Duke University. But just to let you guys know, Adapt Your Life is totally separate from Duke. We have nothing to do with Duke. This person is asking, Duke University has a world famous diet and fitness center. And it's run by one of Dr. Westman's research colleagues, Dr. Will Yancey. They've written a lot of papers together. And so this person is saying, how come when I registered with the Duke Diet and Fitness Center, which I attended, they were not following the keto way of eating? Had I known about the keto, I would have done it. I'm not in charge of the Duke Diet and Fitness Center, so I can't say why they were not doing it. But I think they call it the DFC. The DFC had pretty good success with their method, which I think basically was calorie control, low fat, and exercise. But if I recall correctly, the DFC for the most part is an a residential program. Like you have to come to Durham, North Carolina for like a month or however long it is. It's you pay for that privilege. And so it's like being on The Biggest Loser, except nowhere near as destructive and damaging to your body. But you like live at the diet and fitness center basically. So what happens when you go back home? Oh, it stops working. Why didn't they do keto? Because doctor, now I don't know what year you were there. I'm not sure how long Dr. Yancey's been the head of it, but I know that Dr. Yancey knows about keto. He doesn't love it quite as much as Dr. Westman does, but I know he knows, he's well versed in it. He knows it's effective. As to why they're not doing it, I don't know. Probably because then there's no repeat business. If you learn keto and you lose your weight and you get healthy and you go home, you never need to come back. That's just my private speculation between us friends here. Oh, some good questions. Somebody's asking if I think it makes a difference how long your eating window is. So if some of this terminology is new to any of you, I know some people in this class are like brand new to keto. Eating window is if you do any type of intermittent fasting, your eating window is the portion of the day that you eat. So let's say you have an 8-hour eating window. You eat between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. So you have breakfast, let's say around 10 a.m., a meal maybe midday, and you have dinner at 6, and that's it. Kitchen's closed. That's your eating window from 10 to 6. You might have a larger one, a smaller one, and it doesn't mean that you're like constantly jamming food in your mouth during that whole time. It just means this is the time during the day when you might have a meal here and there. And outside of that window, you don't. You might have a coffee or a tea or something, but you don't really eat food. I do not think that the eating window matters a whole lot, and I'll tell you why. What you eat and how much matters so much more than when you eat it. When you eat it is not completely meaningless, but what you eat and when you eat is so much more important. No, wait, did I say that wrong? What you eat and how much you eat is much more important than when you eat it. And I got to tell you, Dr. Westman has been in this keto scene for like 20 years. I've been eating this way for about 15 years. He learned from Dr. Atkins and Jackie Eberstein, who were in this for like 30 years, and they learned from people before them. Nobody was talking about fasting. Nobody was talking about eating windows. Nobody was talking about feeding windows, about autophagy. Nobody was talking about any of that. And yet people still lost weight and, reversed their diabetes and got off their blood pressure meds and all that. So that's the really long answer to, I don't think it matters that much. Now, do I think you should be snacking all day from the time you rise till the time you go back to sleep? No. But do I think you need to constantly be staring at the clock like, oh, I'm not allowed to eat yet, or like, oh, it's 7 o'clock, I'm not allowed to eat anymore? But what if you're really hungry? Dr. Westman really, really wants you people to, I hate that phrase, you people, you students, you friends, to trust the process. Eat when you're hungry. You don't have to force yourself to go hungry. But don't eat if you're not hungry just because it's lunchtime. If your coworkers are going out for lunch and you're not hungry, you can either stay behind or go with them and get a diet soda, get a coffee. You don't have to eat just because you're going. Okay, a couple more. Oh my God, there's so many more questions, and I can't go 2 hours like Dr. Westman did, but I'm going to have to just start giving much shorter answers. Holy cow. See, what happened was it looked like I was almost done, and then the thing bumped up with like all this other stuff. All right, I'm going to just start burning through a lot of these more quickly. People are asking about what to eat when they dine out. We are going to post something in the files very soon, probably in the next, I don't know, day or two. Lisa Becker can do it. We have a guide to dining out, of what to order, of what to ask for, how to make substitutions. If any of you happen to have our book, End Your Carb Confusion, we have a whole chapter on that. Just read right through it. Okay, somebody's asking about vinegar. All vinegars are fine. Even balsamic vinegar is fine. Just count the total carbs. It's much higher in carbs than the rest. Apple cider vinegar is fine. Regular vinegar is fine. So Susan, I think I answered your question about fasting. Oh my God, there's so many more. Let me blow through. Dar says, what would I look for? If you're eating under 10 carbs a day, make sure you're not overdoing the fat. Fat is not unlimited. Do not restrict protein. Don't go crazy on fat. Test your thyroid, Dar. I will put a link. Send me a DM, because otherwise I'll forget. Send me a DM on Facebook. Does keto cause some people insomnia? Yes. Just because that's like, oh, some people you're kind of at that burn, you know, so some people will have trouble sleeping. Magnesium helps some people, not everybody. I think, again, Dr. Westman would probably say take some milk of magnesia before bedtime. I would just say supplement with magnesium. Amy is, nice name, Amy. Amy's asking if we can use Crystal Light. You can use Crystal Light, but when I was younger, all Crystal Lights were like 0 carbs across the board. They have a lot of new flavors that have some carbs. So just read the label, check the label, and either count the carbs or stick to the ones that are 0. And I'll tell my little trick, I'll just right here in my bottle. I discovered that I'm a coffee junkie. You will pry the coffee out of my cold, dead hands. I hate tea. If you ever see me drinking hot tea, it's because I have a stomach ache. And what I hate even more than regular tea is herbal tea, like all these fruity raspberry and peach and blueberry. Oh, to drink hot, fruity water, it's like my worst nightmare. But I discovered about 6 months ago that I love herbal tea iced. So I have a stock pot. I'll brew like a gallon of like that Celestial Seasonings raspberry zinger or blueberry, whatever. Let it cool. Once it's cool, pour it into the pitcher, stick it in the fridge. And I know it's basically 0 carbs, 0 sugar. It's an herbal tea. Most of them are even, no caffeine. So you can have them any time of day. And you can add, if you want to add a liquid Splenda or liquid stevia that has no additives, no carbs, that's what I do. But Crystal Light, yes, just pay attention to those labels. CJ says blood ketone meter says 3.3 or 0.4. That's not only 0.3 or 0.4. 0.3 or 0.4 is fine. Again, higher ketones don't mean the diet's working better or faster. 0.3 or 0.4 is perfect for exactly what I said earlier. Basically saying, do I have ketones or do I not? And at 0.3, you most definitely do. Bonnie says, how long to get into ketosis? When do you start to burn them? Most people will get into ketosis within about 48 hours of staying under 20 grams of total carbs. Usually it's as soon as your stored carbohydrate is used up and you're not really eating hardly anymore, you're going to be burning fat and you will be producing ketones. So it's going to take your body a lot longer to get adapted. You've probably heard the phrase keto adapted or fat adapted. That takes longer. But to actually be in ketosis, a couple of days. Mandy says, could electrolytes cause a stall? Not if they don't have any carbs. So as long as you're using a 0 carb, 0 sugar electrolyte source, no, they would not cause a stall. Somebody's on prednisone and really struggling with losing. Yes, I'm not surprised. Prednisone makes it harder to lose weight. I have a lesson in my Salt Slayer course on medications that make it harder to lose weight. So prednisone is not going to prevent you from losing weight, but it is going to be harder. Just give yourself some grace, be patient. If that's only something you're on temporarily, you know, some people take it for allergies or for like an injury or something. Once you're off it, it'll be a little bit easier, but steroid drugs do make it harder. And that includes the nasal sprays, Flonase, and there's some other nasal sprays that people take for allergies that can mess you up. Okay. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through the questions. There's so many. The loose skin question, I really don't know how to deal with loose skin. I think it would help if you could probably build some muscle, like fill that out. But that's a tough one, and I don't have a good answer for it. I'm not saying there is no answer. I just don't know what advice to give you. How do I feel about Truvia? Truvia, I think, is what? Erythritol and stevia, or erythritol and erythritol and monk fruit. Use it, but here's the thing, because I know you'll hear mixed. You might hear something different from Lisa Becker or something different from Dr. Westman. You know, some of these things do have carbs, but because we don't allow nuts, and so nobody's using nut flours. Nobody here is making the keto brownies and the cookies. You're not really using these sweeteners in anything except a coffee or tea, or like this, maybe you're adding it to a beverage. So the amount you're using is probably really, really small. So if that's the situation for you with the Truvia, I would say use it, because we're not taking cups of erythritol and adding it to stuff that we're not eating anymore for the next 3 weeks, right? Constipation. Somebody's asking about constipation. Can't do milk of magnesia. Is Miralax allowed? I would have to look at the label. Here's the thing with constipation. Constipation, and I think Dr. Westman talked about this Monday, but I know some of you were not able to watch Monday. Constipation is not defined by how often you have a bowel movement. Some people are used to going every day. If you're previously used to going every day and you don't go every day on keto, that doesn't mean you're constipated. You're eating so much less fiber and so much less indigestible material that has to pass through your colon. It's normal to have fewer bowel movements on keto. You're not eating all this, the bran muffins and the Special K cereal and the this and the so you're gonna go less frequently. What defines constipation is if your stools are hard and dry and like they're little pellets and they're painful to pass and you have to strain. And when you go, you feel like there's kind of some stuff still left up there, like it didn't all come out. That's constipation. If you're only going a couple times a week, but when you go, the stool comes out easily, it's well formed, it's not painful, that's not constipation. So depending on your situation, if you actually do have real constipation, I would have to look at the label of Miralax. I don't know what it is offhand, but you could also just supplement with magnesium, but just not milk of magnesia. If you could do a magnesium citrate powder, that tends to work really well, or just a high dose magnesium. People are asking about sucralose. Sucralose is not a sugar alcohol. Sucralose is the generic name for Splenda. Splenda is the brand name in the US. I think sucralose is fine. I use it all the time. The liquid might be better because the liquid has no additives that have carbohydrate. If you get the powder and the packs isn't too bad. It does have a little bit of dextrose. Where you get into trouble is with the box or the big bag of the granular Splenda. Because sucralose is so strong, artificial sweeteners are so concentrated that if they were to sell you a bag of sucralose, the bag is going to be this big, itty bitty. They have to add a lot of bulking agents to give you something to take home. So they add the dextrose and the maltodextrin. They don't have to add that to the liquid of the Splenda and the stevia and all that. So you might choose to use the liquid if it's going to work in whatever you're using it in, but sucralose is fine. So I asked about the crystal light. I've probably skipped a couple of questions because my thing is not. Oh, I think some people here took my Salt Slayer class because somebody said the thyroid module was awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, Dar, please send me a DM anyway, because you said you asked your new doctor to check your thyroid. You have to be very specific. You cannot just say, can I get a thyroid test? Because unfortunately, many doctors will only test one or two things when they need to be testing about 6 or 7 things. But I will tell you what those are. Is thyroid disease hereditary? In some cases, depending on what it is, not often, but it does tend to run in, I would say the autoimmune thyroid disease tends to run in families. Penny says thyroid and menopause. It's like I'm running in mud uphill. Yeah, you are running in mud up a hill. You need to find the right doctor to help you with the proper testing and the proper medication if medication is necessary. That is the best answer I can give you. Do not settle for less. Do not settle for less than feeling your best. Do not settle for substandard care or substandard attention and treatment. If that means that you have to call 4 or 5 or 6 different doctors' offices in your area, call them. Ask them what kind of service they provide. Ask them if they do comprehensive thyroid testing. You know, it's just the way it is. Like so many doctors are clueless about keto and nutrition. You don't even want to know what goes on in the world of thyroid. Oh, somebody said they had a Diet Mountain Dew Zero that didn't move the blood sugar too much. That's good to know. Colleen says, Colleen is asking about a very specific thyroid thing that I will answer some other time. I'll look into it. So I answered the question about insomnia. Okay, a lot of people are asking about thyroid. I will post in the group tonight or tomorrow. I will post some information for you all on thyroid. Will Zyrtec affect weight loss? So Zyrtec is an allergy medicine, right? I am not sure. Dr. Westman would have to answer that. It depends on what's in the medicine. Now, the thing is, though, I've also heard him say, and I've heard other doctors that I respect say, any medicine can do anything. So even if like weight gain or difficulty losing weight is not listed as a side effect, it could still be a side effect because just anything could do anything. So it's possible. But again, I would say if somebody's having a hard time losing weight, Zyrtec isn't going to be the first thing that's going to jump out at me. I'm going to look at their food first. Adrian says, how to bring down the fasting insulin numbers? Keep eating from our food list and your insulin will come down. Some people's comes down very quickly. Some people it can take a few months, but that will come down. Just keep following our plan. Okay. More questions about thyroid, no problem. I will put that in the thing. So that's funny. Most people are saying they have insomnia and somebody's asking if keto can help you sleep better. Yeah, it can go either way. You know, because if you wake up in the middle of the night because your blood sugar is doing this, keto can probably help you sleep better. Some people have sleep apnea, and for some people, keto doesn't help. For some people, it does. That can surely help you sleep better. Okay, almost done. Oh, people talked about the DFC. Okay, Brian is asking a good question. Brian says, I normally end up with around 8 or 9 grams of carbs left at night. I tend to have around 30 or so Lily's milk chocolate chips to curb any itch for sweets. Should I view this as an issue in the long term? I'm going to give you Dr. Westman's answer, and then I'll give you my answer. Dr. Westman's answer, stick to the list. Lily's chocolate chips are not on the list. Therefore, do not eat them. That's his answer. Here's Amy Berger's answer. when you say you have 8 or 9 grams of carbs left, that's like a Weight Watchers thing. Like, ooh, I still have 10 points. I can have my little Weight Watchers brownie. Ooh, I saved all my points for midnight so I can have my ice cream. It's the 20 grams of carbs are not a goal. It's a limit. So it's not like, ooh, I still have 9. I can have those 9 and get to my 20. It's like, I'm under 20. Okay, I'm good. But I know what you're saying. Like I know what you're saying. 20 is so low that it really, if you're under 20, are Lily's chocolate chips on our list? No. Can you have them and still get results you want? Only you are going to be able to answer that for yourself. What you could do is have them, do that for 2 or 3 weeks. And if you like the way things are going, keep doing it. If you don't like the way things are going, cut them out for 2 or 3 weeks and see what happens. And this, I posted a very, very long post in the group that started off with a note about the food list. And it was to address this sort of question when people say, can I have X? What about X? The answer to any of that, what about the monk fruit? What about my this? What about my that? Dr. Westman basically certifies the food list. Here's my list. It works every time. If you follow it, it's going to work. I'll see you next time. My approach is more like, you're a grown adult. You can eat whatever you want. But if you're not following our list, we don't know what's going to happen. So I would say do it. Like I like me some Lily's chocolate. I'm not like a robot. If you love it, keep it in and see what happens. But here's what we don't want people doing. We don't want people having a bit of this and a bit of that and this thing, and then saying, oh, I did that Adapt Keto Made Simple Masterclass and it didn't work. We don't want to run into that. Well, did you follow our list or did you not follow the list? So as long as you're willing to take responsibility for whatever results you may get, have all the Lily's chocolate you want. Because I know it seems harsh. We're talking about 20 grams of carbs. I mean, that's why most of this should work. If you really are staying that strict, it shouldn't be a problem, but you never know. So you'll just have to see how it goes. Okay, people are talking about the carnivore diet. What's going on here? I might have skipped a couple because I just am scrolling. Somebody's asking about ALT, which is a liver enzyme. It doesn't usually elevate. It usually actually goes drastically down. I would make sure that wasn't a lab error. That seems very odd. Or maybe there was something else going on that day. I would look into maybe repeating that test. That's very odd for that to have increased like that. Okay, I'm going to finish up soon. I'm just going to get through the rest. That's ALT. Somebody's asking about collagen powder. Collagen powder is fine. It should be 0 carb. It should just be 100% protein. Do not consider collagen as a big, important protein source in your diet. It's not really the greatest source of protein. If you like the texture in it, it's fine. If you feel like it helps your nails, that's fine. But don't make like a protein shake out of collagen and use it as a meal replacement. Oh, I think I'm almost done. Do you have to have the 2 cups of leafy greens and vegetables every day? No, you do not. You do not. The Adapt Your Life food list is not the carnivore diet, meaning like, no vegetables whatsoever. The food list is what you can have, not what you have to have. If you don't like vegetables, if you would rather just get all your calories from your steak and your eggs and your pork chops and bacon or whatever, be my guest. Yeah, you don't have to have the vegetables. Somebody is asked, last question. Somebody says, how long does it take for inflammation to go away? That's a really totally individual thing. For some people, it's days. Like it's just, oh my God, my joints stopped hurting 2 days. Some people, it could be weeks, it could be months. And it depends on why. You know, if there's some underlying structural issue, keto is really going to help more the internal sort of metabolic, for lack of a better word, that kind of problem. It's not going to, you know, like a bone on bone situation. Keto doesn't really fix that. But hopefully you'll notice relatively soon that pain is less. Okay, now I lied. Last question this time. Charlene asks if this food plan brings down uric acid. Yes, it does, but in the initial stage, so if you have gout, she's probably asking because of gout. Uric acid is the compound that causes gout. It builds up in your joints and it causes all this pain. Normally, keto, yes, it does help to bring uric acid down because, you know why? You know what causes your body to hold on to more uric acid? Elevated insulin. When your insulin is high, it interferes with your body getting rid of uric acid. You go keto, the insulin comes down, the body is able to get rid of the uric acid. However, when you are new to eating this way, your uric acid might go up a little at first. Eventually, it will come back down. But the reason it comes up is because uric acid competes with ketones for excretion by the kidneys. I think the kidneys or somebody. So when you've been eating a high carb diet all your life, all of a sudden you're on a ketogenic diet, you've got these ketones out of nowhere. The body is going to deal with all the ketones and it's going to like ignore the uric acid, so that uric acid is going to build up. So that's the really long answer to your question. Over time, yes, keto will help uric acid, but in the short term, it might come up. So some people will experience a gout flare when they're kind of new to keto. So if you have gout, just be aware of that. No, Brian, I didn't mean to like yell at you. If you have the chocolate and see what happens, maybe have it every other day or every third day. Like it's hard to believe that a couple of Lily's chocolate chips would get in the way, but they could. But yeah. Okay, that's going to be it for now. Oh my gosh, we went almost an hour and a half. Thank you so much. I will try to remember to put that thyroid stuff and whatever else I may have mentioned. And take it easy. If I can leave you with one message, everybody's very, like, the tension and the anxiety level is here. And keto is supposed to help bring it down. Like, the reason our food list, it's so simple, it's so uncomplicated, because it's supposed to get rid of all this fear and the pressure and those Pop Rocks candy. It's like Pop Rocks going off in your brain. It's supposed to stop that. So just chill, and that's it. And I will see you next time. I guess Dr. Westman will be with you next time on Monday. Have a good rest of the night, everybody. Take care. Thanks for being here.